The Miraculous Ladybug episode titled Felix is a roller coaster and a fun one at that. Like, it has so many things that just really just made me so happy with the interesting direction that the team has taken season 3. Let's get into it as we see Gabriel shining up the silver rings that both he and his wife Emily wear, and he puts it back on her to just admire it for the most part. We also come to find out that this is the 1 year anniversary of the disappearance, quotation marks, of Adrien's mother. And while Gabriel does go in order to talk to Adrien about what I think potentially was him about to try to tell Adrien about him being Hawkmoth and trying to bring back his mother and all that. Adrien actually kind of says that he's seen the way that Gabriel has been interacting with Natalie and he approves. He's just like, it's great that you want to move on, father. And Gabriel loses it. He is none too happy at the idea that someone could ever take the place of his beloved Emily. And meanwhile, we see the gang actually getting together in order to do something for Adrien on this special day. And when I say this is a call to arms for everyone, it is everyone. The fact that they included, Kagami, Lila, Chloe, it's just like, whoa, this is all hands on deck. And ultimately, they go with Marinette's idea of doing a massive video call, just saying how much they care about Adrien. It's just like, these are some sweet kids, I gotta tell you. Um, Meanwhile, we actually have an unexpected revelation, and that is that Gabriel's wife, Adrien's mother, Emily, has a twin sister, Amelie, and she is something. Like, man, she is kind of like, she almost feels like she could be Chloe's mother with how just over the top and overly theatrical she is. And we find that she has a son. And like with most twins in family, her son looks very much like Adrien, and this is none other than Felix. Now, Felix, if you didn't know, was actually the original Cat Noir. Let me explain. In the original concept for this series, the character of Felix was created to be the personification of Cat Noir. However, they ultimately didn't go with this because Felix was just a little too cold for their liking. They felt he was too stereotypically anime shonen boy. He was aggressive, he was mean-spirited. He was the one that Marinette originally had a crush on. And his whole thing was that he would be a very dour personality, like Sasuke from Naruto, like straight up that personality. And he would actually just be very mean spirited towards Marinette's advances and all that stuff. Not to mention, his whole connection with Plague and the Cat Miraculous was that it was actually stuck on him and it caused him bad luck wherever he went. So that would actually cause bad situations to follow him and befall him or Marinette, who would get too close to him. And his goal in courting Ladybug as Cat Noir was actually to get her to give him a kiss. I think that's what it was, to remove the Cat Miraculous. So it was more of a want for convenience than actually having a deep emotion towards Ladybug, which, would have been interesting, but I actually prefer the current dynamic we have where, Adrien likes Ladybug. Ladybug is Marinette who likes Adrien. Cat Noir likes Ladybug. This weird uh, rectangle of relationships where it's just like you're all in love with the same person rather than just a want for convenience and just having Marinette's love interest be mean spirited towards her would have been a little too much. But originally it was something along the lines of it was gonna be Chloe who was nicer to Marinette, and it was Felix who was the more mean-spirited one. But I prefer this dynamic because, with the current dynamic, Marinette's Ladybug persona is her inner self, a more self-righteous, well, not self-righteous, a more, self-confident person who's able to do so many amazing things all on her own because she is an amazing person. Even without transforming into Ladybug, she is still that person. Meanwhile, Adrien, you know, in his Cat Noir persona is a very, goofy, fun-loving person, but that's Adrien deep down. He just doesn't show it that much because of the way he was brought up, because of his father. And being out of the sight line of his father allows him to just be this person who has fun and is adventurous and is outgoing. If it was Felix, who we see here, is more mischievous and very dour in a lot of situations, it would have been a situation where it wouldn't really have been believable, at least for me, that deep down he was Cat Noir, whereas Cat Noir was still very silly and outgoing and fun and all that stuff. I don't think I would have liked Cat Noir as much if it had been the character of Felix. So I'm okay with them going in the direction that they did, but bringing in Felix this way is fascinating in and of its own right. As we see that Felix is very reserved, as Adrien is quick to give him a hug. That shows the juxtaposition in their personalities. And, not to mention, you put Gabriel and Felix in the same room, they come off very much as similar characters. Having that, you know, contrast with Adrien and Gabriel actually makes it feel like, okay, there's Adrien would never go down the path that his father did, but if it was Felix as Gabriel's son, it's just like, why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he choose the path of joining Hawkmoth? Why would he fight against any of that? It just kind of feels like it would be too easy to have Felix go down the path of evil, which we see in this episode. As Gabriel isn't quick to actually come into contact with his nephew, and we actually see that Amelie wants the rings that Gabriel has. Apparently, they're the family rings of Emily and Amelie. They've been in the family line for generations, and Amelie wants them back, despite the fact that Gabriel is very unwilling to hand them over. Meanwhile, as we see the gang finish up their recordings, the only person left is Marinette, who ends up, thanks to some advice from Tiki, actually giving a confession to Adrien. And despite her wanting to delete it, Tiki convinces her to just send it. And, maybe it could make his day. Maybe it could actually do something for Adrien. So she hands it off, much to the delight of Alia, finding out that Marinette actually bit the bullet on this one and gave her confession. We also see and find out that Felix's father has passed away as well. And because of the situation with Adrien's dad, he wasn't able to go to the funeral. And Adrien questions if maybe there were some hard feelings, but, you know, Felix plays it off like, oh, they're all copacetic, while he steals Adrien's phone, and while Adrien goes to find some games for them to play, Felix starts messing around in Adrien's room, much to the dismay of Plague, who ends up losing one of his favorite pieces of cheese, and goes to tattle, but Adrien, being the good person that he is, just kind of brushes it aside, feeling that Felix has gone through enough that he just wants to be there for Felix, like he in the way that he couldn't before, as he couldn't even go to the funeral for his uncle. So I really do love this kind nature that Adrien has. He's not a pushover, and he's quick to catch on to situations. He doesn't just roll over and believe in lies as they're presented to him, but he also is willing to just be the bigger person in a lot of situations. And that again, that shows why Adrien ended up being a better character than Felix in the long run, as Felix is in the shower watching all the videos and he immediately deletes them, dresses up as Adrien, and records a very, very mean spirited video. As everyone gathers around to watch the video, Marinette is none too interested in potentially seeing what happens once Adrien, quote unquote Adrien, you know, what he had to say. But Luca convinces her to watch, and if Adrien says he likes her back, well, good for her. But if he rejects her, Luca's all too ready to swoop in. But as everyone hears this very hurtful message, it really kind of turns everybody off. It's just like, wait, what? What's going on here? Shocking Chloe with a few mean comments as well. And Marinette immediately feels like, yeah, that's not Adrien. Adrien would never say hurtful things like this. Meanwhile, Natalie shows this to Gabriel, having received it from Lila. Of course, Lila. Honestly, I would love to see a team up with Felix and Lila. Like, oof, two duplicitous people. That let's go. They would be the ultimate tag team. But Natalie immediately suggests that with this hurtful message going to Adrien's friends, this might be the perfect opportunity for Hawkmoth to step in. And as all the kids discuss Adrien's hurtful message, the Akuma flies into the tablet that they're using, immediately akumatizing Julika, Rose, and Alia, transforming them into the punishment tree. Punisher trio? Punishment trio. Yeah, whatever. Um, so they go on the warpath, ready to take down Adrien for his hurtful words. And Marinette transforms into Ladybug in order to try and take them down, but they manage to escape as Natalie goes to try to protect Adrien, only for the punishment trio to show right up, going through the phone. But they're kind of a little bit confused when they come upon two Adriens, feeling that, okay, so the imposter must be the one who sent the hurtful video, with Adrien immediately acting like the evil Felix in order to protect his cousin. And as Adrien runs off to transform, we see that Natalie actually has some wicked hand-to-hand combat skills that I was not expecting. And she manages to hold her ground for a little while, but they do get the better of her in the end. And Hawkmoth adverts their attention back to Felix, the true duplicitous one, and sends him after them. However, Felix is all too ready to throw hands and actually manages to hold his own against the punishment trio, which, what is going on with this family? Like, why are you guys so capable at fighting? Ridiculous. But, well, despite Plague's notes of, hey, why don't we just leave Felix to what he deserves, Adrien is none too keen on that, saying that that's not what heroes do. As he transforms into Cat Noir, Ladybug shows up and manages to save Felix from his fate, but he immediately starts to try to mac on Ladybug, and Ladybug connects the dots, realizing this is not in fact Adrien when he doesn't take no for an answer, decking him in the face as Cat Noir shows up, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's Adrian's cousin Felix. I ran into him. He told me all the whole situation, and they try to figure out what to do as the punishment trio arrive on the scene. Ladybug brings out her um, Lucky Charm, which ends up being a whipped cream can. So we have this standoff, and we see something that took me off guard, namely that Felix has his own version of what I call miraculous vision, connecting the dot that the Akuma is contained within Lady Wi-Fi's tablet. So he grabs it, and at first Ladybug believes that, okay, Felix managed to do it, break it and free the Akuma, and we can, stop all of this. But Felix wants to make a deal with Hawkmoth that he'll help out in getting the miraculous if Hawkmoth helps him get a particular piece of jewelry. Hawkmoth agrees, and as they go to set upon the heroes, Ladybug realizes what she needs to do with her lucky charm, namely throwing it to the ground so that everyone ends up tripping all over themselves, causing a situation where Felix gets knocked off the roof. Ladybug saves him, and the tablet crashes into the ground. They manage to save the day, set everything to right, and Felix is feeling kind of down as Adrien kind of chews him out over the situation. And, Felix is just like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't deserve your forgiveness. I'm so sorry, cousin. And they hug it out. But it's pretty obvious that Felix is still up to something, as Gabriel actually does shake Felix's hand this time around. And Adrien tells Felix that, hey, if you ever want to feel yourself going into a bad place again, call me up. We'll talk things out. And Adrien later on decides that, hey, oh, man, my friends did such an amazing thing for me. I'm going to do something for them. And he records his own thank you video to send to all of his friends, much to the delight of Marinette. Meanwhile, Gabriel finds that his silver ring is gone, with Felix having taken it in order to give it to his mother, who had been looking to get it from Gabriel, but she actually just wanted it in order to give it to Felix, who had long since wanted one of the silver rings. And Felix managed to get his way in the end. I actually kind of really love this character. You know, I'm glad he wasn't put in the role he wasn't originally meant for, but this role, oof, this is something else. This is something very fascinating. And much to the anger of Gabriel, he ends up taking Emily's silver ring, still wanting some kind of keepsake to remember his wife. And thus our episode ends. Oof. Man, the character of Felix ended up being a lot more fascinating than I ever would have imagined. Again, I'm glad that we got Adrien in the end because Felix would have definitely been too much of a cliche. And there's no way he wouldn't have ultimately gone down a dark road. Because it's just like, okay, either he had to have gone darker or he had to lighten up and lose his teeth as the series progressed. Because it's just like, look, you can't have one of your heroes being a selfish, spoiled jerk. You can only put up with that for so long. But Adrien, he's nice, he's kind, and he can be so much fun in his cat noir personality. It just, I really enjoy it. But I really do want to see more Felix in the future. Because despite the fact that they originally said they were never going to use the character of Felix, but man, bringing him into things, oof. Oof, I'm loving it. I'm really digging it. I'm all aboard the Felix train. And again, I would love to see him team up with Lila or possibly come back in the same capacity as Lila, because we've had yet another person make a deal with Hawkmoth, and we don't see that happen that often. It's fascinating, it's interesting, and I I love to see it. I love to see it, and I want to see more. But tell me your thoughts and feelings in the comment section below. What do you think of Felix? Is he a character you want to see more of, or do you feel like this scrapped character was better off forgotten? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din. Subscribe if you want, like if you want, dislike if you want, comment, bell, whatever. YouTube things. But until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.